So now we will going to cover what is the hub and spoke model, why it is required. For example, let's before jumping into hub and spoke model, just consider the thing. Let's say you are a company, you wanted to deploy some workloads on Azure. What you will do, you will create a tenant first, right? In the Microsoft, you will create a tenant, then you will create a subscription. Under that subscription, you will create a resource group. This is subscription, for example. This is resource group. Then you will create a VNet. Okay. So then you will deploy your workloads over here. Let's say you created your VDI, you created your what you say your AD, DNS, etc. And then you deployed your firewall here, and then you deployed your VPN here, etc. Okay, so everything is going fine. Okay, so now the thing is, come think about this situation. Okay, VDI will be managed by separate team, AD will be managed by separate team, firewall will be managed by separate security team, VPN will be managed by your network team, right? In typical world. But now you deployed everything in a single subscription, maybe in a same resource group, or it may be a different resource group, but a single subscription. Now everybody is having a visibility. And let's say if this guy, VPN guy, may go to the VDA and do some changes. See, technically in the resource group level, you can do the identity and access management, but still I'm giving the use cases. For example, since they have the visibility, they may do any changes if the access management is not maintained properly. Let's say your VDA guy is going to the firewall and doing some changes like allowing a number of things. So things can mess up, right? So it's possible. So it is not ideal or good practice to deploy everything in a same VNet or same subscription. Okay, that is one use case. Second use case, I'll tell you. Let's say your company, let's say your new requirement came from one of the application team that they want a separate VNet and they want to create everything in their VNet. For example, let's say he is creating his own VNet and he will deploy his VMs over here. Now he will tell, okay, I wanted to access internet. What should I do? He will deploy one more firewall here. Let's say this is your on-prem and he wanted to access on-prem servers. He will deploy one more VPN server here. Similarly, let's say a number of other requirements they may come and they can create their own resources. So see here, the thing is the VPN purpose is to communicate with on-prem, and each subscription or VNet you're deploying your VPN, which may add cost, and each VNet you're deploying your firewalls, which may add cost, right? Because VPN and VNets are very costly, so it will add cost. And one is costing, second one is manage identity and access management, and third one is you're dumping everything into the same subscription. Okay, anybody can do any changes if the access management is not properly managed. Okay, think about from the security point of view. Okay, so this is not a good practice. Okay, so your first thing is you're wasting your cost because you're deploying the same things in each VNets, etc., etc. And there is no centralized, everything is scattered. And the third one is everything you're dumping into the same subscription. So in order to, and one more thing is limits. For example, limits. Azure will have some limitation on the resources. It means in a single subscription, you can deploy only this number of resource group, this number of virtual machines, this number of VNets. All these resource limitations are there. For example, if your company is growing, you may hit the that limitation. That time it will be a big problem, right? So you cannot expand it. You need to create a separate subscription in that case. That again, it's not a good plan to create a subscription when you're going in this model. Sorry. So in order to avoid all these things, for example, first one is the resource limit, second one is costing, third one is access and identity management, fourth one is resource isolation. For example, security team will have a separate resource, network and VDA, they may have a separate resource, etc. Right? So you need to isolate all those things. You don't like, it is not good practice to dump everything into the same subscription. There comes something called landing zone concept, which is also called as Azure landing zone. As part of landing zone, we are doing something called hub and spoke model for the network architecture. Okay, so in the hub and spoke model, how it works means you will have something called hub subscription, which is also called as connectivity subscription. Okay, guys, please listen carefully, because this is the architecture most of the company, 99% of the enterprise is adopting. Okay, so hub subscription, where you're going to create a VNet. You'll have a separate subscription. You will create a separate VNet inside this. For example, 10.163.0.0/22, and you will deploy your VPN here. You will deploy your firewall here. Okay, now VPN is here, firewall is here. It may be in a separate subnet. Your VPN may be in a separate subnet within a VNet. This is the hub. Hub is nothing but a centralized subscription for all the workload. Now let's say you have a requirement to deploy your VNets, sorry, your VDA. So earlier we used to dump everything into the single subscription. Now what I will do, I will create a separate subscription for my VDA. I'll say Azure VDA, which is AVD. I'll give 10.125.0.0/24. I'll create a VNet. Inside this VNet, I'm going to deploy all my VMs. Right now, I may have another requirement to deploy Citrix VDAs. I'll create another subscription. I'll give 10.145.0.0/24. I'll create a VNet and deploy all my Citrix VDAs. And I may have a requirement to create my Active Directory or DNS. I will say this is Citrix, right? I'll say this is identity, because identity and access management, which will done by your Active Directory. So I'll create 10.124.0.0/24, and I'll deploy my AD, DNS, all those things. Now I need to establish a connect. Now I have an internet over here, right? And then I have my on-premise. This may be 192.168.0.0/24. I need to connect all these things. Earlier, we need to deploy VPN over here and then establish a connection directly. Now what I will do, I will do a VNet peering with this to the hub. Same here with this hub. Same here with this hub. Now this is called a spoke. Okay, this is hub. Hub is a centralized one. Spoke is a separate workloads. Tomorrow you may have some other workload. You create one more subscription, application subscription, deploy your workloads, and then do the peering. So now all my workloads, which is spokes, in having a direct peering with my hub, so that from the hub I can connect to my spokes. From here I can connect to my hub. Now the thing is, from VDA you need to connect to on-premise, and from VDA you need to connect to internet. What you will do, you'll have a connection from hub to your on-premise, and this is your firewall. Okay, this is your VPN. So firewall will by default allow everything to by default firewall will be used to allow traffic to the internet. So now what you will do, you are saying in your spoke VNet that in order to go to my on-premise or my internet, first I need to go to hub. Okay, so you will create a route table, and in this route table you say that everything that is 0.0.0.0 should go to my firewall, which is hub firewall. So by default, the moment you add this route, what it will do, all the traffic it will go to my firewall. So firewall will see if the traffic is related to internet, it will send it to internet. If the traffic is related to my on-premise, it will send it to my VPN. Through VPN, it will go to my on-premise. Similarly, let's say I have a VM over here in my on-premise. So I wanted to access this VDA, okay, or any VDA. So what it will do, all the traffic, it will hit the VPN, because VPN is the first point of contact to get into the cloud, right? So from VPN, it will go to the firewall. So firewall will check, okay, I need to send it traffic to this one. You need to allow the rules over in the firewall. So firewall will send it to the spoke. So here, using this method, you will save money. How? You're going to centralize your VPN and your firewall, because you're going to deploy it in a single place. You're not deploying it in your all the subscription or VNets. That is one thing. Second thing is, you can overcome from resource limit. It means Now your AVD subscription is dedicated for AVD. You can deploy n number of resources related to AVD over there. Your identity, your Citrix VDI, your application subscription, they can deploy independently whatever they want. And also you have isolation. VDI will have only VDI resources. Identity will have only AD, DNS, those resources, and only those team will be managing those things. VDI will be managed by your VDI team. Citrix team will manage your Citrix VDIs, and your application subscription will be managed by this one. So hub will be managed by either your security team or your firewall team, whoever responsible for this. So this is the model which we refer it as hub and spoke, where we are going to centralize the things to easily manage and isolate all the workloads and centralize the things. So guys, I tried my best to explain this. Please let me know any doubt, because we are going to deploy this in a demo.